Our story begins not in the distant cosmos, but right here, on Earth. It starts with a crisis. Imagine the year is 2008. The world's financial system was teetering on the edge of a cliff. Great banks, institutions we thought were as solid as mountains, were crumbling. They had made immense, risky bets and lost. The fallout was catastrophic. Ordinary people who had placed their trust and their life savings in these systems watched in horror as their security evaporated. Trust, once a cornerstone of our economic world, was shattered into a million pieces. This wasn't just a financial collapse, it was a collapse of faith in the very guardians of our money. This widespread loss of trust created a vacuum, a space for a new idea to be born. People began to ask profound questions. Why do we need these giant fallible institutions to manage our money? Why must we trust human beings with all their flaws and greed to control the flow of value? Is there another way? A way that doesn't rely on governments or corporations but on something more fundamental, more universal, something like mathematics. The stage was set for a revolution, a quiet and digital rebellion against the old ways of doing things, sparked by the ashes of a global financial firestorm. Out of this chaos, a mysterious figure emerged. Or perhaps, they never emerged at all. Known only by the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto, this person, or group of people, offered a radical solution. They published a paper online. It wasn't a declaration of war or a political manifesto. It was a 9-page document of elegant code and brilliant ideas. It was called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It proposed a new kind of money, one that was completely digital and, crucially, decentralized. This meant it wouldn't be controlled by any single bank, government, or individual. The concept was breathtaking in its audacity. Satoshi envisioned a financial system governed not by boardroom decisions, but by the immutable laws of cryptography and computer science. It would be a network of equals, where transactions were verified by a community of users, not a central authority. Power would be distributed across a global network of computers, making it transparent and resistant to censorship or manipulation. This was more than just a new currency. It was a blueprint for a new kind of trust, a trust based on verifiable proof and mathematical certainty, rather than the fickle promises of institutions. A new universe of value was about to ignite. So, what exactly was this new creation, Bitcoin? Think of it as digital gold. It exists only on the internet, a long string of numbers and letters stored in a digital wallet. But its true genius lies in how it works. Unlike the money in your bank account, which is just an entry in a bank's private ledger, Bitcoin transactions are recorded on a public ledger. This ledger is called the blockchain. Imagine a cosmic scroll, infinitely long, upon which every single transaction is permanently etched for all to see. Once a transaction is added, it can never be altered or erased. It is there forever, a permanent part of the digital historical record. This blockchain isn't stored in one place. It's copied and shared across thousands of computers worldwide. Each of these computers, or nodes, works together to validate new transactions. When you send Bitcoin to someone, the network collaborates to confirm that you actually own the coins and haven't tried to spend them twice. This process, known as mining, involves solving complex mathematical puzzles. The first to solve the puzzle gets to add the next block of transactions to the chain and is rewarded with newly created Bitcoin. It's a system of verification built on collective effort and pure mathematics. The implications were profound. For the first time, we had a way to send value directly from one person to another, anywhere in the world without needing a middleman. No bank to approve the transfer, no credit card company to take a fee, no government to block the payment. It was a direct peer-to-peer exchange, as simple as handing someone a coin, but on a global, digital scale. This was a fundamental shift in power, wresting control away from centralized institutions and placing it back into the hands of individuals. The system was designed to be trustless, meaning you don't need to trust the person you are transacting with, because you can trust the mathematics of the network itself. Initially, this new star burned dimly. In its earliest days, Bitcoin was the domain of a small group of cryptographers, computer scientists, and cypherpunks. They were intrigued by the elegance of the technology and the philosophical ideals it represented. To the outside world, it was an obscure, nerdy project with no real-world value. A single Bitcoin was worth less than a penny. It was a curiosity, a digital token traded for fun among a handful of enthusiasts who saw its potential. They were the early astronomers, gazing at a faint light in the sky, dreaming of the galaxies it might one day become. For an idea to change the world, it must first enter the world. Bitcoin's leap from an abstract concept to a real-world medium of exchange happened on the 22nd of May, 2010. A programmer in Florida named Laszlo Hanyecz made a historic offer on an online forum. He wanted to buy 2 pizzas, and he was willing to pay 10,000 bitcoins for them. At the time, this was worth about $40. Another enthusiast accepted the deal, ordered the pizzas from a local shop, and had them delivered to Laszlo's home. This was it, the first ever documented commercial transaction using Bitcoin. Those 2 pizzas became legendary. This simple exchange was a monumental moment. It proved that Bitcoin could function as money. It could be exchanged for tangible goods and services. Those 10,000 Bitcoins, worth a pittance then, would go on to be worth hundreds of millions of pounds at the currency's peak. It's a mind-boggling thought, a testament to the explosive growth that was to come. The Bitcoin Pizza Day is now celebrated every year by the crypto community, a reminder of the network's humble beginnings, and a symbol of how far it has traveled from the fringes of the internet to the global financial stage. After the pizza purchase, Bitcoin's journey was anything but smooth. Its price began a wild ride, a cosmic dance of spectacular ascents and terrifying falls. As more people learned about it, demand grew. The price surged, creating what is known as a bull run. Early adopters who had mined or bought Bitcoin for pennies found themselves, almost overnight, sitting on small fortunes. The media took notice, and stories of Bitcoin millionaires attracted a flood of new investors, pushing the price even higher. It was a frenzied, exhilarating time, fueled by excitement and the fear of missing out. But what goes up, in these volatile markets, often comes down. Each massive bull run was followed by a devastating crash. The price would plummet, sometimes by over 80%, wiping out vast sums of perceived wealth. Skeptics would declare Bitcoin dead, a failed experiment, a bubble that had finally burst. Many who bought at the peak lost their savings, learning a harsh lesson about volatility. Yet, each time after the dust settled, Bitcoin did not die. It stabilized, recovered, and eventually began its slow climb towards a new, even higher peak, proving its resilience and confounding its critics. For a while, the crypto universe had only one star, Bitcoin, but in 2015, a new brilliant light appeared. It was called Ethereum. If Bitcoin was designed to be digital gold, a store of value and a payment system, Ethereum was something more. It was conceived by a young programmer named Vitalik Buterin, who saw that the blockchain technology powering Bitcoin could be used for much more than just money. He envisioned a global, decentralized computer that anyone could use to build their own applications. It was a revolutionary leap forward, expanding the crypto universe in ways previously unimagined. The key innovation of Ethereum was the smart contract. Think of a smart contract not as a legal document, but as a vending machine. It's a piece of code that lives on the blockchain and automatically executes the terms of an agreement. If certain conditions are met, the contract carries out its function without any human intervention. For example, a smart contract could be programmed to automatically release payment to a musician once their new song reaches a certain number of streams. This removed the need for intermediaries and created a world of automated, trustless agreements. Smart contracts opened a celestial floodgate of innovation. An entire ecosystem known as decentralized finance, or DeFi, was born. DeFi aims to rebuild the entire traditional financial system, lending, borrowing, insurance, exchanges, on the blockchain, making it open, transparent, and accessible to anyone with an internet connection. Suddenly, you could earn interest on your digital assets or take out a loan without ever stepping into a bank. This new financial galaxy promised to be more efficient and equitable than the old system that had failed so many in 2008. But the creative explosion didn't stop there. Smart contracts also gave rise to non-fungible tokens, or NFTs. These are unique digital tokens that can represent ownership of anything from a piece of digital art to a concert ticket or a virtual plot of land. They created a new economy for creators and collectors. This entire expanding cosmos of DeFi, NFTs, and other decentralized applications is sometimes called Web3. It represents a vision for a new, more decentralized internet, owned by its users and builders, rather than a few powerful tech giants. Ethereum had transformed crypto from a simple currency into a sprawling platform for digital creation. This expanding crypto cosmos has created immense wealth. People who bought Bitcoin or Ethereum early on, who believed in the technology when nobody else did, saw their small investments multiply thousands of times over. Stories of ordinary people becoming millionaires captured the public imagination. But for every story of incredible success, there is a counter-narrative of devastating loss. The extreme volatility that creates fortunes can just as easily destroy them. People who invested their life savings at the peak of a market frenzy, hoping for quick riches, often watched in despair as the value of their holdings collapsed. This high-risk, high-reward nature is the defining characteristic of the crypto market. It is a powerful, but untamed force. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme or a lottery ticket. Investing without understanding is not investing, it's gambling. The lure of fast money can be strong, leading people to make emotional decisions, buying in a panic of missing out or selling in a panic of a crash. The most important lesson from crypto's turbulent history is this: knowledge is your shield. You must learn before you invest. Understand the technology, the risks involved, and the long-term vision. Today, the crypto universe is no longer a fringe phenomenon. It has grown to a trillion-dollar market, too large for the world to ignore. Governments, which once dismissed it, are now scrambling to create rules and regulations. They're trying to find a balance between protecting consumers and fostering innovation. At the same time, the very institutions that Bitcoin was created to bypass, large banks and major corporations, are now entering the space. They're exploring ways to use blockchain technology and are beginning to offer cryptocurrency services to their clients, a sign of its growing mainstream acceptance. As we stand here in 2026, the journey of cryptocurrency is far from over. It remains a frontier, full of both incredible promise and significant peril. The key lessons from its first chapter are clear. The early believers, those who showed patience and conviction through the storms, were rewarded. Emotional trading, driven by fear and greed, almost always leads to poor outcomes. The most crucial takeaway is that this is a technological revolution, not just a financial one. To navigate this new cosmos successfully, one needs curiosity, patience, and a deep respect for both its potential rewards and its ever-present risks.